Yo, 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 what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking. All right, so shout out to everybody who is in the building early. It is good to see each and every one of you. If you can hear me okay and everything is looking good on the screen, please give me a thumbs up or a radiation emoji in the chat. If you guys cannot hear me or things are looking and sounding bad for whatever reason, please give me a thumbs down or an angry face. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to shout out everybody who's in the building early. All right. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Shout out to Jesse. Shout out to AW1. Shout out to J007. Shout out to my man Carlton Way. Shout out to Jerry Bedford. All right. It is good to see each and every one of you. All right. So what we are going to do is we're going to try to get through some more of this interesting information about what is going on with the quote unquote mass deportation plans, as we now have an interview with Tom Homan where he lays out exactly how this is going to go down. Shout out to Ryan Glenn. What's good with it, bro? Shout out to Caldona. What's good with it?
Here now with more is the incoming Trump border czar himself, Tom Homan. Tom, welcome to the show. Would you please comment on the specific granular plan that Sarah Carter has reported on, how in fact you're going to use trains, planes, and automobiles to repatriate these illegal migrants back to their home countries?
Well, Sarah said, look, me and Governor Abbott, we're not waiting until January 20th. I've been on Texas. We're already meeting. We're planning how we can work together to help Texas, secure their border at the highest level ever. He's done a great job. Illegal immigration in Texas is down 86% because he put in place a lot of Trump's policies, right? He's building border barriers like President Trump did. He's adding consequences to those across the border illegally. He's arresting them with trespass. And people need to understand DPS has done a lot. Not only is Governor Abbott's action protecting Texas, they're protecting the United States because most of these illegal aliens aren't staying in Texas. They're moving out of the country. Every ounce of fentanyl his trooper sees is less overdose deaths. Every person they arrest for trespass is one less getaway. So they get fingerprinted, they get bed. At least we know they're not terrorists. But we're going to follow that model across the southwest border. But my plan is, and I've been very vocal about this, we're going to contract as much work out as we can. Work that doesn't require a badge and a gun, because I need badges and guns on the street to do the deportation operation. So when it comes to driving...
So now check this out, right? He says he's going to contract as much of this work out as he possibly can. So when it comes to dealing with this migrant crisis, right, it's interesting how these quote-unquote value chains work. Did you guys see how the Democrat cities contracted all of the migrant crisis associated business to certain business interests that they had a relationship with? Now, let me ask you guys this question. When it comes to these quote-unquote contract jobs, all right, who is it that you all think will be getting these quote-unquote contract jobs? Let me know what the jobs will be and who will be getting them.
Whether it's transportation, whether it's ground or air, whether it's processing, whether it's some other administrative duties, contract that work out. Because right now we got badges and guns doing that work. Get them out of that administrative work, put more on the street, and that's what we're going to do. And if these sanctuary states and cities keep pushing back, I'll have the extra resources and double manpower in those sanctuary cities. Because if we can't arrest a bad guy in the jail with one agent, it means I got to send a whole team out in the field to find this person. And for officer safety reasons, we need a whole team rather than just one person. So this is the plan we're putting together, and Governor Abbott's come to the table. He's the first one to come to the table, and I accepted it and shook his hand and said, let's go, let's move forward, let's do it.
Tom, I know that you often talk passionately about the humanitarian crisis that is our border crisis. You have some of these Democrats don't seem to care, and when babies are drowning in the Rio Grande, don't say a word about it, including our border czar, Kamala Harris, most days. We don't hear them talk about the 10-year-old boy being abandoned by the smugglers, the 2-year-old girl left by herself, 2 years old, Tom Homan. And yet I feel like they're waiting for their photo op, and they will resist the...
Yeah. Shout out to Carlton. Right? Because Carlton brings up a good point. Carlton says more than likely people that don't look like because we're not connected to the value chain. Yeah, facts. If you guys agree with Carlton, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree with Carlton, give me a thumbs down. Now let's talk about that quote unquote connection to the value chain. Why is there a disconnect with the value chain there? Here's an even better question. Why did this happen? Think about this. Think about this. With these quote-unquote mass deportations, is this a rescue of anything? Let me let me know what you guys think. Is this a rescue in any way, shape, or form?
Efforts that you and President Trump are trying to put forward and make sure that they're showing the big bad evil guys are separating families and people are crying, they're being deported. Bring us forward a little bit. What will this look like? Will it be orderly? Will it be humane? How are you guaranteeing that? Because you're already getting so much resistance from the same mayors and local officials who know this has been draining their resources, know how angry their residents are about illegals coming there getting cash and debit cards and cell phones and clothing in hotel rooms in a place here like New York City, let alone a New York City school child's desk in a classroom. Tom, how will you do it in a way that people know you adhere to the law? This is enforcing the law. It is humane, it is fair, and it is just and legal.
Well, look, open borders are not humane. The only thing on that border right now that is humane are the men and women wearing that green uniform. They save thousands of lives every year. I've seen these men and women give CPR to babies that were thrown into the river by the cartel because when they're chasing the boat of a smuggling load, so what the cartel members do, throw the baby in the water. Then the border patrol have to jump in the water and save that baby rather than arresting the smuggler. Look, I've held dying children. I've held dead children. I talked to little girls as young as 9 that were raped multiple times by criminal cartels. The border, open borders, cause death. They cause a rise in sexual assault of females and children. Under this administration, open border, sex trafficking is up over 600%. The number of people off the terrorist watch list is at a historic high. The amount of fentanyl coming across the open border have killed over 250,000 Americans. And that's just what open borders does. When President Trump had the most secure border in my lifetime, illegal immigration.
Let me ask you this question, right? Let me ask you this question. How do you get so screwed in your mind? How do you get so screwed in your brain that you participate in voting for policies that create this ridiculous situation, then become upset about it, and then are happy that somebody is doing something about it other than the people that contributed to the situation with the irrational voting? I don't understand how that works. Is there anybody that can lay that out to me and make that make sense in some way, shape, or form?
Down 90%. When 90% less people are coming, how many babies weren't dying? How many women weren't being sexually assaulted? How many no-inspected terrorists didn't make in the country? How many pounds of fentanyl didn't get in the country, kill Americans? Secure border saves lives. But and that's where the humanitarian piece comes into place. Under Joe Biden, historic number of aliens have died crossing that border, 4,000. 250,000 Americans have died. The open border policies are killing aliens at record numbers, killing Americans at record.
This is a hot mess. How many people would agree that this entire situation is just a ridiculous, absurd, controversial, complicated, hot mess? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. And shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. We got 14 people watching and 16 likes. We got the 1-to-1 popping off. Throw them 100s in the chat. Let's try to get it up to 30.
Numbers, and we're going to put a stop to it. We're going to secure the border. As far as sanctuary cities, I find it hard to believe that any mayor or governor wants to push back on ICE because the president's been very clear. Right out of the gate, we're going to concentrate on public safety threats and national security threats. What elected official wants to tell his constituency, I'm okay with public safety threats in my community. I don't want ICE's help to remove these public safety threats. That's their number one responsibility, is the safety and security of the public of their communities. If they don't want to do it, ICE is going to do it. And with all the death threats and all the negative press for now, they can keep screaming all they want. ICE is going to do this job. I'm going to do this job. We're going to make these communities safer. We're going to enforce the law. And if they don't want to help, instead decide don't help, fine, don't help. But don't get in our way. And I've said this for the past week over and over again. Do not harbor and conceal an illegal alien, knowingly harbor and conceal an illegal alien from us because it's a crime. Don't impede us because it's a crime. Don't obstruct because it's a crime. If you want to sit aside and let us do your job of securing the communities, fine, we'll do that. But don't cross that line.
Tom Homan, you were a great colleague of mine and ours in the first Trump term, and you were one of the first appointees that he named because he takes very seriously the need to do everything that you're describing. And Tom, I'm going to read you from my Here's the Deal show on Fox Nation. You made very clear that Biden and Harris really were the first administration in a long time who didn't make moves to secure the border. In just the remaining seconds we have, can you tell the audience why that would be? What commander-in-chief, what president and vice president would take steps that don't secure a border? Why?
He was the first president in history of the nation who came in and unsecured a border on purpose, not because of mismanagement, not because of incompetence, by design. They want this open border. They obviously think these millions of people will be future Democratic voters, but also he overturned the Trump census rule, which millions of people in sanctuary cities will be counted in the next census. And what does that mean? More seats in the House for the Dems. But I tell you what, the Trump team coming to town, we're going to take control January 20th, and people are going to be held accountable. We're going to be very transparent. We're going to get behind What did the United Nations have to do with this open border crisis? Who in the administration, the Biden administration, opened the doors on this humanitarian crisis? What NGOs were involved in this? We're going to be very transparent to American people, and we're going to tell them the truth what happened on this border, again, by design, and we're going to let the American people know who was involved, why, and hold them accountable.
Tom Homan, thank you so much for joining us, the incoming border czar for President-elect Trump.
So I think that that's interesting, right? I think that it was interesting that he was mentioning about the United Nations and all of that, because yeah, there's a lot of that aspect of this particular situation that isn't discussed. All right. But again, what I'm trying to figure out is we got to backtrack some of this. We got to reverse engineer some of this, and we got to try to ask some questions. How does this get how it is? How does a situation like this get how it is? It disgusts me that people, you know, have a difficult time coming to grips with how this situation got the way that it got. Let me again, we got to continue to ask this question. When it comes to this quote unquote migrant crisis, or when it comes to this quote unquote illegal migrant crisis, the undocumented bros, this whole entire issue, what voting package does this come with? If you buy a voting package, which package does this come with? Now, you got to ask yourself the question, how do you do this and then you don't notice it happening? How do you do that? How does one do that? How does that occur? So now here this says, Trump's new border czar, Tom Homan, details priorities for mass deportation operation. All right, so we're going to take a listen to this and see what they say here.
You know, Laura, a lot of people ask me why I get so emotional when I do Fox News and why I scream at members of Congress. Because I've seen so much tragedy. I've talked to hundreds of angels and moms and dads who buried their children because they're killed by illegal alien. This is the latest. You know, I've talked to little girls as young as 9 years old that were raped multiple times by members of cartel. When you look in her eyes and everything innocent and pure has been ripped from her soul, and her life will never be the same. I mean, it's just I'm tired of it, and the government failed the Lincoln Riley family. Not only if President Trump was president, he'd be sitting.
Now, here's something that I find very ironic. All right, this is very ironic, and again, it's just not enough discussions about this. And you know, it may be some discussions about it that occur at some point, right? But I don't know. Maybe people ain't ready to have these kind of discussions about it. But how do you get yourself into a situation so bad that you got to watch the news channel that especially targets and talks crazy about you as one of the only media outlets that's actually talking about solutions to undo partially self-induced situations? I mean, I don't know if people are aware of that, but do people realize that that's the actual situation? If you take away all the smoke, you take away all the mirrors, you take away all the gaslighting, you take away all the feel good talk, everything to make everybody, you know, feel good, and you know, you actually sit down and look at it and break this thing apart. Shout out to Shatera. What's good with it? Yeah, I gotta agree. Shout out to Cameron. Cameron says Fox News, unbelievable. It's a clown world. Yeah. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Let's just say, for instance, there was a bunch of people who said, you know, I'm tired of the way things are. I'm tired of the way things look. I'm tired of how this is. I want to change this situation. I want to get this situation together. I want to get control over these resources. I want to make sure that I have complete control over every circumstance that I'm able to control. How would that happen, quote unquote, without a quote unquote Trump presidency, or without somebody who is in line with doing something like this? How would that happen? How would the resources get put together? What businesses would be used? What resources would be used? What partnerships would there be? What businesses would put things together? I want people to think about this. And my question is if after you think about that, you don't have any answers for those questions, how comfortable are you with that? And how can anybody be comfortable with that?
in Mexico and they remain in the Mexico program. And if he did get to New York and he was arrested for injury to child in New York, I used to be able to arrest him because the priorities under Trump, where if you're in the country illegally, you're a target. But Secretary Mayorkas put the priorities so low, even the injury to child didn't meet the standards. Granted, this young lady's dead. And of a sanctuary jurisdiction to listen to that tape, listen to this young girl fight for her life, fight for her breath, trying to survive, terrified. Think of I want you to understand what she went through. Like the 9-year-old boy, the 5-year-old boy in the back of the tractor trailer that I held, I found him dead, that baked to death. Mm-hmm. I thought about what the last hour of his life was like. You need to listen to this tape. And for those governors and mayors that are saying they're going to stop Tom Homan, they're going to stop President Trump, shame on you. Your responsibility is protect your communities. And that's what we want to do, is protect your community.
Now, let me ask you guys this question, right? Let's talk about this quote unquote idea of quote unquote protecting a quote unquote community, right? How effective would people say a pattern of Democrat voting has been for quote protecting any quote unquote given community? Has that been a good protection? Has that worked? Yeah, shout out to Shatira. I would not disagree. Shout out to DSA. What's good with it, bro? I would not disagree. Shatira says this is major leverage. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You know what I'm saying? And again, people need to think about this. People need to think about this. President-elect Donald Trump's new border czar, Tom Homan, is putting together an extensive deportation plan for when he hits the ground after they are both sworn into office in January. Homan spoke to the Center Square about his priorities, illustrating a marked difference from President Biden's border czar, Vice President Kamala Harris, who repeatedly said the border was secure and she didn't need to go there. Under the Biden-Harris administration, the greatest number of illegal border crossers, roughly 14 million, were reported in U.S. history, the Center Square reported. All right. The overarching theme, Homan said, is millions of people entered this country illegally, which is a crime. Now, let's just get to the basics. If you guys agree with that, which should be very basic, give me a thumbs up. If you guys do not agree with that, if that's not a true statement and somebody feels that that's false, then give me a thumbs down. Okay. The Biden administration argued illegal border crossers have a right to claim asylum and go before an immigration judge. Now, let me ask you guys this. As we've looked at a lot of these different stories, how many of these individuals have claimed asylum and then, quote unquote, went to a border or went to a judge? Is that what happened? Or what happened with these individuals? Did they go to judges after claiming asylum? Or here's an even better question. Did they even claim asylum? What did they end up doing? And shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell. And also, please share the stream to your social media. The Biden administration argued illegal border crossers have a right to claim asylum, okay, and to go before an immigration judge. He said, we gave them that opportunity to see a judge, but we know based on immigration court data that nearly 9 out of 10 of them will get an order for removal because they simply don't qualify for asylum. All right. So now here's the question. Why would you waste your time with doing it that way if you know that 9 out of 10 of them aren't even going to qualify? Like, why would you do that? The fact that millions of people illegally entered the U.S. and 9 out of 10 are ordered removed necessitates a quote-unquote mass deportation operation, he said. Are these dirty words? No. On the end of historic mass illegal immigration, with 9 out of 10 orders for removal, there has to be a mass deportation program. The only other option is to let them stay. Now, mind you, that was what the Biden-Harris administration had planned to do. which nullifies immigration law and the immigration court system, he argued. Now, let me ask you guys this. This was Biden-Harris's plan to, quote unquote, let these people stay, right? This is undoubtable. We can all agree on this, right? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. It also sends a message to the entire world that you can enter this country illegally. You can go to court and lose your case, and you're still not going to go home, he said. We'll never solve the Southwest border crisis like that. So, you can't demand due process and not accept the end result. And I agree with that. Right? Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas himself has testified numerous times before Congress that for those who don't qualify for asylum, they'd be removed. Well, guess what? It's time to do the removal part. So now here are the removal priorities. All right. Now, I want to ask you guys this question. When it comes to this alleged, quote unquote, mass deportation operation that's supposed to take place when the Trump administration gets in office, who are the priorities for, quote unquote, removal? Who are the people that are going to get removed first? Let me know in the comment section. Are they going to be just getting rid of women and kids and everybody that they say that they're going to get rid of? Or is there like some type of tier cascading process that they have of priority type people that they're going to go after first? What do you guys think? You guys all know the answer. We all know the answer. But the problem is that we got to continue to reiterate this because it's never discussed in an accurate or honest way. It's only ever discussed in a misleading way that the mainstream media uses to attempt to push their narrative forward, whether their narrative is correct or whether their narrative is incorrect. All right. Yeah. And shout out to Shatera, shout out to Carlton. They're going after the violent people first, the criminals. Yeah. If you guys would agree with that, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. The removal process will prioritize individuals based off their threat to society, he said. Now, when is the last time that families who are just whatever looking to work or, whatever, right? Not, low profile people, when have they ever been a threat to society? The priorities will focus on public safety threats, national security threats and fugitives, those who got due process at great taxpayer expense and the federal judge ordered them removed and they didn't leave and they became a fugitive. Individuals who are on the federal terrorist watch list and special interest aliens, those from countries on foreign concern are all priorities, he said. We'll work very closely with the FBI and intelligence community to identify them, he said. We know a record number of people on the terror watch list have crossed the border, he said. Homan has long warned that the border crisis created the greatest national security threat since 9/11. Now, let me ask you guys this question here. All right. Based on what it said in this paragraph here, why would anybody have a problem with this? Who in their right mind would have a problem with this? If you had people who fit this criteria and you know that they're circulating and moving about throughout your neighborhood or throughout a place that you live at, your quote unquote community or whatever you want to call it, would you feel better at night knowing that they're going to get removed? Or do you want these type of people in your neighborhood? That's the question. Let me know what you guys think. Within the last year alone, numerous officials issued imminent terrorist attack warnings, and Biden extended multiple national emergency orders due to ongoing terror threats since 9/11. Under his watch, the greatest number of known or suspected terrorists were apprehended, with the majority caught at the northern border, the Center Square reported. So the majority of the terrorist people are coming in at the northern border. This is interesting, right? Because most of the media coverage talks about the southern border, but the majority of the terrorists and all these people of threat and concern, they're coming in at the northern border. You know what I'm saying? Under the Biden administration, more than 660,000, which is interesting. Pay attention to that 66. Criminal foreign nationals were recently identified to be deported by ICE, including 435,719 convicted criminals, the Center Square reported. ICE agents arrested more than 387,000 criminals in fiscal years 2021 through 2023, the Center Square reported. The majority were citizens of Mexico, Nicaragua, Colombia, and Venezuela. Okay. Finding and removing millions of SIAs from those COFC criminals released into the U.S. through CHNV parole program. Now, this is for Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans, including members of Tren de Aragua, a violent Venezuelan prison gang. And those identified in national security cases will last us a long time, Homan said. And we're going to get into this a little bit later. But there's reports that have come out, and these reports that have come out have said the Biden administration's damage with the open border policies that the administration has had has caused so much damage, it's going to take years to repair. Shout out to Crew Reality. What's good with it, bro? It's going to take years to repair. Okay. Now, we're going to also talk about the quote-unquote military, right? Because this is one of the things that people are concerned about, the quote-unquote militarization. Now, let me ask you guys this question. How many people are comfortable with the military, quote-unquote, being used in these quote-unquote mass deportation operations? If you guys are comfortable with the military being used with these mass deportation operations, then give me a thumbs up. If you're not comfortable with the military being used in these mass deportation operations and you think that this presents some type of threat or that this is in some way, shape, or form inappropriate, then give me a thumbs down, all right? The U.S. military will assist in Trump's deportation efforts, Homan said. Title VIII Enforcement Authority will remain with federal agents from the U.S. Border Patrol, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and U.S. Department of Homeland Security investigations. Okay? The military will provide air, ground transportation assistance, work on construction building, and intelligence targeting, he said. They can do all kinds of things that don't require immigration authority, he said. Those with immigration authority, like HSI agents and ICE agents, deportation officers, they will be making the arrests. He also pointed out that the DOD has been used in every administration to help with the border. We're just going to expand that enforcement to help with non-law enforcement duties. However, no one's off the table, he said. If you're in the country illegally, you've got a problem. He previously warned the millions of illegal aliens that Joe Biden released in our country in violation of federal law. You better start packing now because you're going home. Homan also encouraged all foreign nationals in the country illegally to voluntarily return to their country of origin because it would be better for them to do so. If you're in the country illegally and you've got an order for removal, or even if you don't have one, if you're in the country, leave on your own, because when you leave on your own, there's no penalties, okay? But if we actually have to deport you with a formal order for deportation, there's you can't get a tourist visa. If you have a U.S. citizen child that lives here, he can't petition for you. So it's better to leave on your own rather than getting a formal order of removal. All right. So again, it's interesting how they portray this, right? Because if you ask me, right, just taking an unbiased look at this seems like it's spelled out and written out very clear. Shout out to Shamika Gray. What's good with it, Shamika? It seems like it's spelled out and described very clear. There's nothing really hidden. So why these quote unquote liberal sanctuary city mayors, sanctuary state governors, why they have such a problem with this, why they're going on this wild crusade to say that they're going to go to jail over all this and they're not going to cooperate and they're going to try to stand in the way to block it. I mean, they've even come out and said, you don't even have to help us. Just don't get in the way. And they're saying that they're going to get in the way. Shout out to Alonzo. Shout out to Black Spider. What's good with y'all? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Now, let me see. Check this out here. I actually have a video coming about this, right? Let me see. Hold on. And again, this is one of the reasons why this stuff just expands, because you can there's so much stuff that comes out about this. You can never get through all of it. And real quick, shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys have not hit that bell, please take a moment, hit that bell. And also, please share this stream to your social media. So, shout out to Carlton. Carl just said, Tom Homan about to do some straightening around here. Yeah, facts. Facts. Shout out to Cameron. Cameron said their paymaster paid them a lot of money for this crap. Now it's being undone. Yeah, I got to agree. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Brooklyn Queen said they are so dumb. They are really dumb, for real.
So dumb. You are really dumb, for real. Oh, you are so dumb. You are really dumb, for real.
All right, so next what we're about to do is we're about to take a look at some crime issues. All right, we're about to take a look at some crime issues.
Migrants reportedly arrested in New York City. As part of that major bust on Wednesday, the men are said to have ties to TDA, the violent Venezuelan gang, and the two are reported to be part of a group accused of threatening tenants at an apartment in Aurora, Colorado. Meanwhile, in Chicago, city officials warning its police officers to be careful when encountering suspected TDA members. Congressman Nick Langworthy on his take on the migrant crisis earlier this morning. Watch.
It is just a continuation of what we've seen time and again, with the migrant crisis finding its way right onto New York City's doorstep. And it's our sanctuary city policies of Kathy Hochul to blame. We have, now we have a new series of questions: is how did they end up in New York? Was this part of the failed Biden-Harris agenda?
We have team coverage. Mike Tobin standing by in Chicago with details on that warning. But first, CB Cotton is live in Manhattan with more on the major drug bust. CB?
Hi, Griff. Well, the two reported Tren de Aragua members were taken into custody as part of a major drug trafficking and credit card scam bust here in New York City, per the New York Post, which says Denier Aramillo Menendez and Edilson Peña Angulo were two of 15 suspected Venezuelan gang members picked up during an early morning raid on Wednesday, following a months-long investigation. The Post sharing this photo of the semi-automatic weapons, pistols, and ammo also found. Both Menendez and Angulo had active warrants in Aurora, Colorado on felony charges of first-degree burglary and menacing with a firearm for another incident, showing them and other men breaking into an Aurora apartment.
Now, mind you, right, the mayor of Denver, Michael Johnston, right, that individual wants to fight to keep these people in Colorado. Somebody make it make sense. Why would you fight against getting people like this out of your community, out of your neighborhood? It doesn't make any sense.
10 minutes before a fatal shooting. A local report says the men knocked on two apartments there and threatened residents. Aurora police said at the time the men had not been linked to any criminal gang, but the New York Post is now reporting from its sources that Angulo and Menendez not only somehow made their way here to New York City, all the way from
We got Katsy in the building. Shout out to Katsy. Good to see you as always, Katsy.
Colorado, but also the outlet says both men are TDA members who were involved in credit card fraud, violence, and selling heroin and fake weed here in New York City. Griff.
All right, CB Cotton live in New York. Thank you very much. Now, for the latest on the warning from Chicago police on Tren de Aragua, let's bring in senior correspondent Mike Tobin, who's live in Chicago with that part of the story. Mike, what are you seeing?
Well, Griff, what we've got is more indication that this gang, Tren de Aragua, is fortifying, increasing its numbers, and therefore getting more bold. Law enforcement, even in sanctuary cities like Chicago, knows it and knows the gang poses a threat. This officer safety alert went out to the rank and file in Chicago police over the summer. The intel generating the alert appears to have started with Immigration and Customs Enforcement, but it warned Chicago officers. It has been reported by multiple sources that
shout out to Cameron. Cameron said, wait, fake weed? Yeah, they went back in the day. They found some K2 and some potpourri. How many people remember K2 and potpourri? If y'all remember that, give me a thumbs up. If y'all don't, give me a thumbs down. People used to smoke that stuff and go crazy. They'd smoke it and get a seizure and all kind of wild stuff. I don't know where they even found that at.
members from the transnational criminal organization Tren de Aragua have been given a green light to fire upon or attack law enforcement personnel in Denver, Colorado. But in Chicago, officers are urged to use caution and tactical awareness when encountering someone who may have TDA affiliation. The Trump-affiliated think tank America First Legal found the alert as part of a dive they're doing into law enforcement documents.
Looks like from the latest DHS reports that they're in at least 16 U.S. states, right? And, based on FBI's own National Gang Intelligence Center, there's thousands of them all across the Western Hemisphere.
Now, it was the Biden administration that designated TDA a transnational criminal gang. Started in a Venezuelan prison, presence of this gang has popped up in 16 states, notably Texas, California, Illinois, and Florida. And some of the information dug up in those documents by America First Legal says Tren de Aragua graffiti has now been popping up in Chicago's glitzy shopping district, the Magnificent Mile, right behind me here. Griff?
That will be interesting. And Mike, ICE officials tell me that the Tren de Aragua gang members are harder to detect than, say, MS-13. Great reporting. Mike Tobin, Live Force in Chicago. Yeah. Mike, thank you.
All right, so there's that. All right, so next what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the local news affiliate. All right. And now, again, the reason why they keep showing, shout out to Black Star Racer. What's good with you, bro? Good to see you. The reason why they keep showing this apartment complex situation is because I want to continue to reiterate this, right? Those individuals in the video who are trying to break into that apartment, they were somehow able to get from Colorado to New York City after being arrested. How does that work? And yeah, shout out to Shatira. Shatira said about how they just bang on the police. How can the police do anything, you know what I'm saying, when they kind of have protection? You know what I'm saying?
Up tonight, an update to a story we've been following since August.
Yeah, you may recognize the video we showed you from Aurora, this one right here. Now today, a big-time bust in New York City after this
What's good
viral
with
video.
it, bro?
Police are arresting 2 men involved in the gang Tren de Aragua. News Nation's Rich McHugh has that story tonight.
Yeah, it was a big-time bust in New York City involving New York Police Department and federal officials. They arrested at least 2 members of Tren de Aragua, that notorious Venezuelan gang. The members that they arrested were tied to that viral video that we now say is viral from Aurora, Colorado, this past summer when Tren de Aragua took over this apartment complex. So these 2 that were arrested were involved in that video, or were part of that video. The raid was led by Homeland Security Violent Gang Task Force and NYPD after a federal search warrant was issued by the Southern District of New York. Among those arrested were Daniel Aramillo Meneses and Edison Pena Anguillo. Those 2 were alleged to be involved in a fatal shooting in Aurora, Colorado in August. Arrest warrant was issued on October 1st. Both have been caught and released multiple times. U.S. Border Patrol first encountered Pena in El Paso, Texas in 2023. After he entered the country illegally, Border Patrol issued him a notice to appear and released him.
Now, pay attention to this. This is what we got to ask. All right, look at this. Look at this. Encountered in El Paso, Texas on April 29th of 2023. Released May 3rd of 2023. Ordered to be removed in absentia February 23 of 2024. How is this individual still? How are any of these individuals still in the United States? How does this happen? This is what I'm talking about. And shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys have not hit the bell and subscribe to the channel, please take a moment, hit the bell, subscribe to the channel. We got 36 people watching and we got 29 likes. We need 7 likes to get to the 1-to-1 ratio. Let's try to get the likes to 60. All right, I know we can do it. Let's get it.
Meneses and Edison Pena Anguillo. Those 2 were alleged to be involved in a fatal shooting in Aurora, Colorado in August. Arrest warrant was issued on October 1st. Both have been caught and released multiple times. U.S. Border Patrol first encountered Pena in El Paso, Texas in 2023.
Now, shout out to Shatira, right? Because Shatira asked a good question. Shatira said, if they encounter American gangs, what's going to happen? Our gangs don't just bang on the police like that. Sheesh. We actually talked about that. How many of you all remember the videos that we did about Tren de Aragua versus the American gangs? I got videos about Tren de Aragua versus the American gangs on this channel, on Undocumented, and on BLR1. So make sure you guys check those out because that's going down. You know what I'm saying?
After he entered the country illegally, Border Patrol issued him a notice to appear and released him. Later, he was arrested in Colorado on local charges. An immigration judge ordered Pena removed to Venezuela on February 23rd, 2024. after he didn't appear in court. The other guy, Amarillo, was encountered on September 10th, 2023 by Border Patrol in El Paso, Texas, after he entered the country illegally. He issued a notice to appear, and he was released on September 14th. Aurora Police Department in Colorado put out a warrant for his arrest on August 19th of this year. It's unclear how both of these men came to New York City or when. Their mugshots and their indictments remain under seal. Both are in custody in Lower Manhattan.
How is it unclear? How is it unclear? So check this out. If it's unclear, right, then what that means is that there's no effective tracking mechanism for these people. There's none. There's no effective tracking mechanism for these people. They're not tracked at all.
Manhattan, federal in custody in Lower Manhattan. ICE officials tell me that it's up to federal authorities whether to simply deport them back to Venezuela or prosecute them here for these crimes and then serve out their time and then deport them back to Venezuela. Back to you.
So again, how did they get from Colorado to New York City? And see, here's the thing, right? This is the issue. The issue is that the story remains the same, right? The issue is that the story remains the same. There's this issue that keeps allowing a lot of these individuals to remain in the United States or even to remain outside of jail for that matter, right? Like not even talking about, inside the United States, but outside of jail to be able to continue to commit violent crimes like this. You know what I'm saying? Now check this out right here. Trinde Aragua gangbanger and illegal migrant arrested in sex trafficking sting after multi-state crime spree. Again, how are these people traveling like this? How are these people traveling like this? Somebody make it make sense. I'm going to play this video real quick. Give me 1 second.
Law enforcement warning that the violent Venezuelan gang Trinde de Aragua is now operating in every major city in the state. Tennessee Bureau of Investigation Director David Roush has been warning local leaders about the growing threat and joins us now. Sir, thanks so much for joining the program.
Thank you, Lawrence.
So what's the big issue as it relates to your law enforcement capabilities? Is the current federal detainers and all that preventing you from doing your job? Give us the scope.
No, I don't think it's any of that. I think what we have is, unfortunately, because of the porous border, this gang has exploited it, and they are actively working throughout our country. And we know, because of our investigations, they are actively working in Tennessee. They are in our 4 major cities, Nashville, Memphis, Knoxville, and Chattanooga. And they are running human trafficking operations right now. We first noticed them about 2 years ago during a trafficking operation in Middle Tennessee. And we thought after we had captured a few of them, we knew some of them had fled. We thought that they would move out of Tennessee, but they have moved back a month, moving into different operations. They go from human trafficking to organized retail crime theft, and then they move into the drug trade, taking on the cartels in a very violent, bloody battles that they've had. And they also have zero respect for policing. They have attacked law enforcement officers throughout our nation.
Yeah, so as you guys can see, these guys attack law enforcement and they don't end up, in a casket, right? These guys attack law enforcement officers, and interestingly, they don't end up in a casket. What happens to these guys is that they somehow end up in another state. A violent Trinde Aragua gangbanger. All right, my bad. Just gonna pause that. Hopefully. All right, there we go. A violent Trinde Aragua gangbanger and illegal migrant was busted. Hold on real quick. in Tennessee and charged with running a sex trafficking ring out of a hotel after he allegedly went on a multi-state crime spree, including in New York, but was repeatedly cut loose. Hold on real quick. By local and federal authorities. Let me try to, give me 1 second, guys. Yeah. Okay. Try to pause this. I don't know what, they really need to do something with this. You know what I'm saying? Get some new HTML people or something. Rodriguez Carmona, who TBA identified as a known member of vicious Venezuelan gang, was cuffed after cops raided an alleged prostitution ring out of a Chattanooga hotel. Okay. The Venezuelan migrant crossed the border illegally in Eagles Pass, Texas, and was quickly released by the border agents, ICE said. So, again, this happened last year. A year later, in July of 2023, a judge issued an order for his deportation after he failed to appear in court. However, by then, Rodriguez Carmona had already started racking up arrests. In February of 2023, the illegal migrant was nabbed in New York City for allegedly shoplifting from a JCPenney department store in Queens. All right. So again, why is it that these, if the Biden administration policies are so effective, then my question is, why don't these individuals end up in a courtroom? If you ask me, the Biden policies are designed so that these people do not end up in courtrooms. The Biden policies are designed so that these people don't end up in courtrooms. He was released with instructions to appear in court 3 weeks later, sources told the Post, but he failed to show up for his scheduled court date, and a warrant was issued for his arrest. A year later, in February of 2024, Rodriguez Carmona was arrested in Chicago for his alleged involvement in a drive-by shooting in Chicago's Little Italy neighborhood, which left a 27-year-old woman in critical condition, according to local reports. He was charged with aggravated unlawful use of a weapon, not possessing a firearm identification card, driving without a license or insurance, and possession of adult use cannabis in a motor vehicle, but later released, according to the reports. It is unclear why he was released. How is it unclear? Let me ask you guys this question. How is it unclear why he was released? And shout out to Katsy for becoming a member. I definitely appreciate it. Make sure you guys show Katsy some love, throw some flames, some radiation emojis, some ducks in the chat for Katsy, for funding the organization and growing the organization. Definitely appreciate it.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business.
And like somebody make this make sense. It doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? He was released with instructions to appear in court 3 weeks later, sources told the Post, but he failed to show up for his scheduled court date, and a warrant was issued for his arrest. All right. So again, what's the pattern here? These guys they never end up going to court. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the pattern. The pattern is that these dudes never end up going to court. They never end up going to court. A month later, in March of 2024, ICE Enforcement and Removal Operations Unit in Chicago arrested Rodriguez Carmona and placed him in the Dodge County Detention Facility in Juneau, Wisconsin, pending immigration removal proceedings. This Venezuelan non-citizen represented a significant threat to the residents of our communities, said ERO Chicago Assistant Field Office Director Raymond Hernandez at the time. Not only is he a validated member of a transnational street gang, but he also displayed a willingness to unlawfully discharge a firearm in public. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Under Trump's mass deportation proceedings, who would get arrested first? This guy or an undocumented family at Walmart buying a toddler diapers? Who would get arrested first? That's my question. Let me know. ERO Chicago will continue to prioritize public safety by removing such threats from our streets. The illegal migrant and accused criminal, however, was released again by ICE in Wisconsin before he then traveled to Tennessee. So let's ask this question. Why was this guy released? Again, why was this individual released? Homeland Security Investigations Nashville Public Affairs Officer Mike Mayers told the Post that the case is part of an active and ongoing investigation and didn't clarify when or why ICE released Rodriguez Carmona. So again, we don't have any information about the release. The only thing that we know is that the release took place, but then we don't have any information about it. Why don't we ever have any information about any of this? TBI Director David Rausch expressed concerns with Tren de Aragua's quote-unquote transient tactics that allow them to move about the country until they settle elsewhere where they feel comfortable. I wouldn't necessarily say that Tren de Aragua has transient tactics. I would say that they have transient assistance. If you guys would agree that they have, not only do they have transient assistance, they have transient transit assistance. If they get into an area where they feel like they are able to operate without impunity, then they will start to dig their heels in, as we have seen in some of the other communities, he said. According to TBI, Rodriguez Carmona remains in the Hamilton County Jail on a $125,000 bond. Tren de Aragua has already set up operations in at least 16 states, 8 of which have sex trafficking rings tied to the prison gang, the Post previously reported. All right. And as you guys know, I've talked about that as well. All right. So again, and when we do these, right, we show multiple accounts of this stuff, right? So, we're using multiple news agencies here to substantiate the things that we're saying, right? So this is what Texas is planning on doing. All right, give me a second. We're gonna change pace here. We're going to change pace here, and we're going to go back to Texas and talk about what Texas is doing. Like this. Like I look at images like this, right? And I'm just trying to figure out, why is it that this door is open and they're just letting these people in? Does that make sense? Like, why are they just letting these people in? I don't understand.
Mexico's president has spoken with Donald Trump after he threatened the country with 25% tariffs. The US president-elect told followers on Truth Social that he had a wonderful conversation with his Mexican counterpart, adding that the two nations will effectively close the southern border. Other proposals were made during the call, including ending blockades in Cuba and Venezuela. But Joe Biden hopes his successor rethinks those tariffs this morning, calling it a counterproductive thing to do.
The last thing we need to do is begin to screw up those relationships. I think we've got them in a good place. I think by the way, the cooperation with the outgoing president and the incoming president, the illegal crossings are down considerably to what they were back when he was in office. There's a lot more to do, but I hope that.
Well, as I found out while I was there, still high though, about 100,000 interventions a month. Joining us live now, Sky News US analyst Michael Ware. Michael, so this stoush that's going on, well, I don't know, do we call it a stoush between the Mexican leader and the president-elect? Trump's not going to roll back those claims to increase tariffs, is he?
Well, we don't know. We do know that what this president-elect says and what he does are often three different things. For me, the real value of this conversation between President-elect Trump and the Mexican president, Claudia Sheinbaum, is that this offers us some kind of a window into the crystal ball of the transactional nature of President-elect's world. And why I believe that's so important is because perhaps there's lesson here for Australia to learn. Because while he's threatening 25% tariffs on Canada, of all people, where America imports most of its timber, 25% tariffs on imports from Mexico, where 80% of its exports come into America. Yeah. President Trump is still threatening a 10 to 20% tariff on friends and allies, including Australia.
But this is all about protectionism, right? America first. That's the whole point of it.
Well, America first, America last, because, look, one, America needs friends. We've been to every war with America over the last century, and he's going to hit us with 10% tariffs. But also, do not forget, there's hardly a single economist on the planet who does not say that the Trump tariffs are not a Trump sales tax on Americans.
Okay.
You put 25% tariff on Mexican imports, who do you think's going to pay for that? The company importing it or the company selling it? No, it's going to be the person at the checkout.
Yeah, okay. No, there's a few people who say that too, so you're not alone on that front. Just one more beat on Donald Trump. He's had a meeting with Mark Zuckerberg. So Zuck has gone to Mar-a-Lago, as I understand things, a little earlier today. Is he trying to intervene on Donald Trump's BFF being the ex-owner Elon Musk?
Look, Elon Musk is in his own Trumpian stratosphere, and good luck to him. Yeah. Zuckerberg is playing catch-up. You've got to give Zuckerberg credit, as did I. On the day someone took a shot at then candidate Trump, Trump's reaction to being clipped in the ear, I thought was brave and noble and defiant, and Zuckerberg recognized that. But Zuckerberg is no Trump fan, but he knows how transactional, whether it's nationally or personally for his own financial gain, that the president-elect is. So I think that Zuckerberg's visit to Mar-a-Lago is an effort by Meta, or Facebook, or whatever you want to call it, to kiss the ring, if not the taint.
So now let me ask you guys this question, and we're going to be talking about the Zuckerberg and Trump interactions at some point. Somebody trying to start a value chain somewhere? Is that what's going on? Is somebody trying to create value-added transactions? Is somebody trying to create a pathway for lucrative business for their business through the new president-elect? If that's what's happening, then give me a thumbs up. If that's not it's what's happening and something else is going on, then give me a thumbs down. All right? So now what we're going to do next is we're going to take a look at these caravans that are allegedly coming through Mexico with the Super Mario Brothers music moving real fast because the time is running out. All right. To try to get to the southern border and get through Texas before Trump gets into office.
Todavía nos faltan como 600 kilómetros para llegar a nuestro destino, Ciudad de México. Nosotros no pensamos quedarnos aquí en México, queremos que el gobierno nos apoye, que la ONU se ponga la mano en el corazón y nos ayude a salir por lo menos en frontera. Nosotros estamos esperando en nuestra cita.
Para que la presidenta de México nos pueda colaborar con buses primero porque hay muchos niños en muchas condiciones, enfermos, adultos, entonces es que nos escuchen, que nosotros no queremos aquí, sino queremos ingresar antes de que Donald Trump tome su gobierno nuevamente.
Para poder pasar, porque si se posiciona el presidente que es de ahora, nos van a cerrar lo que es las fronteras y no vamos a poder lograr el objetivo que queremos, llegar a Estados Unidos.
Now, let me ask you guys this question. Why is it that a lot of these people's quote unquote goal is to get to the United States? What are they looking for here? What are they trying to find? They got a goal, and their goal is to get to the United States. Why do they want to get to the United States? What's here that they're interested in?
Y esa es nuestra meta, que queremos llegar es allá.
Yeah. Katsy says handouts, free stuff. Shatera says welfare. If you guys agree, throw some flames in the chat. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. Why is there so much of that available? Why is there so much of that available? I think that that's very interesting. Yeah, and I got to agree with Carlton. Their value chain is here. There's a whole program that's going on that, you know, a lot of people here in America just, you know, never really caught the ball on. And now they see it playing out and they kind of are not happy about it, you know?
Trump promising to use tariffs as a way to force border reform and prevent drugs from flowing into America. He posted on Truth Social this, I'm quoting. On January the...
Now, here goes my question. I got a question for Richard Garcia. Richard Garcia said, how can a country that stole land from others be so involved in keeping others out? Here goes my question. That was just so long ago. How long ago was that? Are we going to just sit around and, you know, dwell on the past and harbor on the past? Or are we going to move forward? Because, you know, when some people ask about certain things that happened around the same time, that's kind of, you know, that's the response that we get. So, I mean, you know, we got to keep things in perspective, right? So, I mean, you know, isn't that kind of woke to kind of, you know, ask about that? I mean, and, you know, I think that there were some purchases involved as well. I don't know if it was necessarily stolen. I don't know if those southwestern states like New Mexico were stolen. If I'm not mistaken, I think there was some purchases involved. I think there was some transactions. At least there was some cash exchanging hands, right? I know other people that never had any cash exchange hands that had things happening to them in around the same time period. I don't know why anybody should really worry about, you know, the fact that, you know, that quote unquote land was stolen. Who was it stolen from? It's not. I think it's woke though. I think it's woke though. I think it is. I think it's woke. Because, I mean, who stole that land? Did the people that steal from the 7-Elevens and steal from the gas stations, did they steal that land? Did 13% of the population steal 13% of the steal 55% of the American Southwest? Pilgrims stole. Now you really sound woke, Richard. You really sound woke. I know you're not coming up in here blaming the Pilgrims. Are you saying that it's racism? Is it evil white racism? Now, you know what's interesting? Somebody with the last name of Garcia told me that that doesn't exist. let's just say hypothetically, I believe him. Now what?
20th, as one of my many first executive orders, I will sign all necessary documents to charge Mexico and Canada a 25% tariff on all products coming to the United States, and it's ridiculous.
Let me ask you a question, Richard. Are you a Catholic? Are you Catholic? Do you practice Catholicism? Do you give a homage to your saints? Are you Catholic? You speak Spanish? Are you thankful for your last name? Your culture? Okay. Well, shouldn't you be thanking the people who brought it there? Shouldn't you be thanking them? Oh, you don't pray to saints? But you're Catholic though, right? I don't think Catholics pray to saints. I think they give honor and homage to saints. I don't think they pray to them though. But that's not, it's not like you're speaking in, what is it called, Tahol or anything like that, right? You're not doing that anymore. So is that what it's called? Let me just make sure I got my information right. Nahuto. Yeah, it's not like you're speaking Nahuto these days, are you? You speaking Nahuto these days, or you speaking Espanol? Which one? You thankful for the Espanol? It's one of the most largely spoken languages in the world. You thank the white person lately? Because anything other than that is woke. You can't come up in here talking about no stolen land that took place back around the time when the 4th of July took place that everybody celebrates and thinks is so great, but other things that took place around that same exact time happened too long ago to be thought about. What I want us to do here is I want us to make sense. So, here's my question for you, Richard. Why are you bringing up quote unquote stolen land when a lot of that land wasn't stolen? Why are you complaining about your experience when you relish and enjoy it? And on top of it, what's the statute of limitations on these things? I'd like to know, because I don't know. What's the statute of limitations on these things? I don't understand why this doesn't make sense to you, because I'm very sure that you've probably had a similar conversation with other people about things that those people take issue and take gripe with. Richard says, whatever the laws are that folks make up. Yeah. Right. Now, how do you feel when those laws are not fair to you? Do you feel like the laws are fair to you? So here's my question. What are we supposed to do here? What are we supposed to do here? We're at a crossroads. We're at a border wall. You know what I'm saying? What are we supposed to do here? So you're supposed to ignore them. That's interesting. So if that's the case, then like I do, then you honor those poor folks who do the flash shoplifting and those brave souls who stick up the gas stations and 7-Elevens because they're economically disenfranchised. Those brave drug dealers who sacrifice their freedom every single day to try to put a meal on their table. You respect those individuals and you agree with what they do, because when the laws are made to harm you, you ignore them. Is that are we on the same page here, or are we only talking about south of the border? We're not talking about Chicago. I honor my family that walked before me, but you didn't answer my question. And your family that walked before you, they were speaking Nahuatl. You're speaking Spanish. I hate to be awkward, but where's the honor in that?
Open borders. This tariff will remain in effect until such time as drugs, in particular fentanyl, and all illegal aliens stop this invasion of our country. And with China, he will impose an additional 10% tariff on top of the tariffs he's already announced. It will continue until the fentanyl manufacturing in China.
Now, here's my question. And again, we just got to be direct with it, right? If you don't care about what we got going on, why should we care about what you got going on? Give me 5 reasons why I should care about what's going on with you. Give me 5 reasons why, if I just happen to walk down the street and I turn around and see you burning alive, why I should do anything. Richard says, my family is Apache and Zuni, Black, and Mexican. Okay. My question is, what does that have to do with us? Now, here's an even more direct question for you. What is your goal? What do you want out of this? What do you want to take away from this conversation? What are you trying to convince me or us of? Let me know. Let me know, because I'm trying to figure it out. I don't understand what this has to do with anything. Richard says, I don't need anyone to care. I treat my people in my house accordingly. I think most people do. If you didn't need anyone to care, then I don't understand why you felt the need to give us your family history. Because I didn't say that anything that you said was wrong. You said no convincing. I didn't say whether I, believed you or not. Again, I'm trying to figure out my investment in it. I'm trying to figure out how your contribution of what you said added any value to what we got going on right here. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Because I guarantee you, if we start talking about our gripes, I bet you got every single rebuttal. You think you might have some rebuttals lined up. You don't, but you might think you do. But now my question is, why would you have rebuttals lined up? If you wanted to come in here and play a violin and we sit here and listen to your music, it's not the best. It's all right. Then you think you're, I don't know what, too good or better than to listen to ours? I'm just curious.
Stops and flowing it through Mexico stops. We've just received this from the president of Mexico. She says the migrant caravans are no longer arriving at the U.S.-Mexico border. Some impact already. Governor Mike.
So now you guys see this, right? According to the quote-unquote Mexican president, and we're going to get into this a little bit, as well, right? The migrant caravans allegedly have stopped at the southern border. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. It's not better. Okay, so shout out to Richard. Richard says, it's not better. It's about bring all up with our differences. Now, the only problem is our differences are quote unquote woke. Shout out to Carlton. Carlton just came with it. So do you support cash reparations for FBA, Richard? Facts. We already know the answer, right? Look, we're going to answer for Richard. Now, shout out to everybody watching. In the comment section, how many people think that Richard supports cash reparations for foundational Black Americans? Mind you, that happened at the same time that the land that he's talking about is stolen. If you guys think that he does, give me a thumbs up. If you guys think that he does not, then give me a thumbs down.
Ancient spirits of evil, transform this decayed form to Mum-Ra, the ever-living!
We ran quality control on Richard. Shout out to Tony. What's good with it, bro? We ran quality control on him. That's what I'm talking about. Shout out to DSB. Make sure y'all show DSB some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for my man DSB for funding the organization and growing the organization and standing on business for 2 months. Definitely appreciate you, bro.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business.
Oh, man. Man, oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. Hey, Richard, you will understand this, right? Muy fácil. Muy fácil. Oh, man. Shout out to my man Bronze the God. Shout out to New York State of Mind. What's good with it, bro? Shout out to everybody that just got in here. If you guys haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell. And also, please share the stream to your social media. What mindset is that? Because I haven't displayed a mindset. I think it takes more damage for you to not coherently ask questions than it does for you to try to attempt to judge some mind state that hasn't been displayed. What mind state's been displayed, Richard? The mind state to be open-minded and ask questions and have you tell us about your gripes. And, you know, even if it does take a lot of damage, I would say 400 years of slavery, which is something that your people didn't ever have to deal with, is a lot of damage. I think most normal people would say that. What else do you hear in my laugh? Do you routinely hear things in people's laughs? Most people, when they hear laughs, they hear ha, 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 ha. Richard says, how long were you slaved? I was slaved for the exact same amount of land that you owned and was stolen from you. That's how long I was slaved for. Next question. I was enslaved for the exact same value, right, of time, of acres of land that were stolen from you by pilgrims. How much land was stolen from you by pilgrims, Richard? This is what I'm saying. These woke people. Oh, man. Listen. You speak 4 languages. Shout out to you. My laughter is definitely not one of them. You can't translate anything from me. You don't have the headspace and the brain volume to be able to do it. And it has nothing to do with language.
Huckabee joins me now. Governor, do you think these tariffs are basically a negotiating tool?
Well, they're every bit of that, but they're a serious reflection of Donald Trump's big boy attitude. Listen, he is no oil can Harry who's going to show up with a little lubricating oil to just make the machinery of a bloated bureaucracy run smoother. He's coming to play and play big. And that's why people voted for him. It's why I love the guy. He just doesn't come in and say, what do y'all think I should do? He knows what he wants to do, and he's going to get it done, keeping some promises about immigration. And
Richard, I want to know what Pilgrim stole something from you, and I want to know why you didn't ask me about Jim Crow. That's what I want to know. I want to know why you asked me about slavery. I want to know why you didn't ask me about Jim Crow. Another thing that I want you to tell me is what Matamoros means. And another thing I want to ask you is, when did people like you start wearing flannel shirts? Trying to understand why folks vote against themselves. You mean like the people did in the 2024 election? Like the undocumented bros voting for Trump so much? I don't know. Why don't you go ask one of your cousins? Shout out to Alonzo. Make sure y'all show Alonzo some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for Alonzo. Shout out to the ancient spirits of evil.
Ancient spirits of evil, transform this decayed form to Mumra, the ever-living.
Shout out to Alonzo. Definitely appreciate you, bro. Make sure y'all show Alonzo some love. Richard says, how do undocumented vote exactly? Undocumented vote by going to sanctuary cities. Unfortunately, that's the last comment of yours that's getting read. And the reason why is because why should the people that I like pay for super chats to get their comments read? And you're not adding any value to the live stream, and your comments are getting read. If you want to know, it's because we have a timed duration of budget live stream that we dedicate to exposing people like you. And then once your time is done, your time is done, and we move on. Just like what happened when your ancestors got their land taken in Mexico. Okay? So now we're at that time.
drugs, things that are killing this country. He's going to get it fixed, and he isn't going to wait until January the 20th to let people know. And we're already seeing the results. The announcement from the president of Mexico sort of says, yep, he's coming. We better get ready.
Immediate reaction there. Governor, a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hezbollah looks to be imminent. You're President-elect Trump's nominee for U.S. ambassador to Israel. The truth, this is my opinion, that this truce seems to favor Israel. Is that how you see it?
Well, now we don't need to go into that because we'll be talking about that on BLR Geopolitics. All right. If you guys are not subscribed to BLR Geopolitics, make sure you guys take a moment and subscribe to BLR Geopolitics. If one of the mods could put the link to Newscast in the chat, I would definitely appreciate it. And shout out to everybody watching. I really appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed that like button yet, do me a favor, take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also share the stream to your social media. Shout out to AB. What's good with it, bro? Now, here's a better question, right? I got a better question. How does someone named Shine Bomb become the president in Mexico? Let me ask you guys this question. What is the ethnicity of the last name Shine Bomb?
Lo que siento es que nos están cansando para que nosotros.
Now, that's not something that you see every day. We've seen it all in the last couple of days, haven't we? Shout out to Greets. What's good with it, bro? We've seen it all in the last couple of days. I wasn't that took me. I wasn't expecting that.
Desistamos de la caravana y nos devolvamos a Tapachulas porque desde que vinimos de allá vienen siguiéndonos y ofreciéndole a la gente cosas, prometiendo cosas y
They down there living like the Walking Dead, and the music. They down there living like the Walking Dead, and the music don't make it no better, do it? Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Yeah, that's cool. That'll work. Make sure y'all hit that link that Brooklyn Queen put in the chat.
Pues de pronto sí, porque yo me imagino que como cada país, ellos lo que buscan es protegerse ellos, y pues entonces por eso de pronto es que están regresando tanto a los migrantes también, para pues evitar lo que Estados Unidos quiere hacer con México. Entonces pues sí, de pronto pues migración quiere seguir insistiendo en regresar a Tapachula, pero pues nosotros vamos caminando y dándole a ver qué pasa acá.
They got the big backs down there.
Hey, ¿qué café? Uy, ¿cómo así?
Sí, nos preocupa por una parte, ¿verdad? Pero por otra también, yo sé de que Donald Trump a la larga, pues él tiene su corazón y tiene familia. Me imagino de que también él hace por el bienestar de su país. Si el país lo eligió, es porque tal vez algo bueno tiene, ¿me entiendes? Algo bueno tiene que tener y pues nosotros tenemos la fe en Dios de que vamos a llegar y que Él nos va a ayudar, pues tenemos esa pequeña fe en Él. Pues.
¡Veo! ¡Al puerto, yo al puerto!
Interesting. Very, very interesting. So let me see. Actually, let me take a look at this real quick. Hold on. Give me 2 seconds. Hold on. Yeah, I think we actually looked at that. Let's see something here. All right, let's take a look and see what this Mexican president actually said to Trump.
And another big story today, the president of Mexico is pushing back on the potential of a tariff war between the United States. President-elect Donald Trump is threatening to impose a 25% tariff on goods coming from both Mexico and Canada on his first day back in office. ABC's Perry Russum has more on the phone call between the two leaders.
This morning. Now, there's 2 accounts of this phone call. All right, there's 2 accounts of this phone call. There's one account that's saying that this conversation took place and Trump's going to get everything that he wants, and that the Mexican president is in 110% compliance with the agenda, right? And then there's another version of the story that's going around that said it wasn't that easy. My question for you guys is, which one do you think is the one that's for real? Let me know.
Reporting President-elect Trump and the president of Mexico at odds over a phone call about immigration. Trump says Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum agreed to stop migration through Mexico and into the United States, effectively closing our southern border. Sheinbaum says she told Trump migrant caravans are being stopped before reaching the U.S., saying, "We reiterate that Mexico's position is not to close borders.
We're going to fix our borders."
Immigration, a key issue for Trump on the campaign trail. He is threatening to impose a 25% tariff on goods coming from Mexico and Canada on his first day back in office. Trump blaming both countries for the wave of undocumented immigrants and illegal drugs in the U.S. He says the tariffs will stay in effect until Canada and Mexico solve what he calls a long simmering problem. Days after suggesting Mexico would retaliate against U.S. tariffs with tariffs of their own,
pues potencial guerra arancelaria, la revisión del tema.
No va a haber potencial guerra arancelaria.
Sheinbaum yesterday interrupting a reporter asking about a potential tariff war, saying there will be no potential tariff war.
I hope he rethinks it.
President Biden calls Trump's tariff threats on the U.S.'s North American neighbors counterproductive.
We have an unusual situation.
Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to my man DSB. I definitely appreciate it. Make sure you guys show DSB some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for DSB for buying everybody lunch. DSB says this is all one big schnit show at this point. Facts. If you guys agree with DSB, y'all already know what to do for him buying, you know what I'm saying, lunch. But make sure y'all throw some poop emojis in the chat.
In Springfield,
me ain't Donald Trump trying to grab him by the said it was some Haitians somewhere out in Springfield, women doing cartwheels. Have you seen Garfield? Have you seen Snowball? This about to snowball. I'm about to go off. I can't let this go on. Miss me like an airball. Tell me where my cat is, cough it up like a hairball. I gotta tell them if they even put the fingernail on Santa's little helper to turn them to hamburger helper. Somebody better help them, cause I'm going to jail for showing them fellas helter skelter. Usually I'm content, but if you touch my dog, then I'm turning into John Wick. I'm lit. Bird better drop it. If you touch my pet, then I'm pulling up like CrossFit. He said Hello Kitty, but it ain't there. It's right here in your city. When I turn my back, now the cat goes missing in the where my peoples is at. Does anybody know where he flipping at? Cause I heard they putting claws on felines, I'm mad. And my cat disappeared just like Felix the cat. And they got paid back. Thought she was a goner, but the cat came back. If you ain't a pussy cat, say drop that cat. Drop that cat. Drop that cat. Got paid back. Thought she was a goner, but the cat came back. If you ain't a pussy cat, say drop that cat. Drop that cat. Drop that cat.
they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Eat cat.
Drop that cat.
Shout out to DSB. Make sure y'all show DSB some love. Definitely appreciate it for funding the organization and growing the organization. Y'all know what to do.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business. I'm standing on business.
And we definitely got to hit DSB with an again, right? We got to hit DSB with an again.
Again!
All right, so there's that. All right, again, very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Very, 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 very interesting. Let me just see something here. This is just hilarious, man. Like it's just so crazy. It's just so crazy with all this right now, man. Let's take a listen to this. Let's take a listen to this, shall we? Let's see here. Let's see.
Is going to give you help. So I can't wait for the Secretary to come back. I'm going to be short. I'm going to be short. I know we're running late. President Trump who happens to be the greatest president of my lifetime, is coming back. Unlike this administration, you have your 6. This administration didn't. And we all know that's imperative. With the secretary coming in, Kristi Noem, I met with her numerous times. She gets it. She understands it. And she has some great ideas of her own, so I can't wait for her to confirm. So you got one hell of a team, and Trump and Kristi Noem is going to give you help, not sue you for doing your job. She's going to give you help. And hopefully we get enough help to you where some of you men and women go home with your families. But you can guarantee it. President Trump was...
Shout out to Katsy. Make sure y'all show. Shout out to James Sumler. What's good with it, bro? Shout out to Katsy. Make sure y'all show Katsy some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emojis, some ducks, some cats, some dogs in the chat for Katsy for an attempted super chat. You know what I'm saying?
Secure this border. He's did it before. He's going to do it again. But this time we finish the job. We're going to run an interior enforcement operation. Of course, the media hates that. How dare you? What a racist thing to do. I want to explain that. You can't have millions of people illegally crossing the border, which is a crime, make a claim to asylum, demand the right to claim asylum, demand the right to see a judge, demand due process, and we'll give them that shot. But at the end of that process, when the judge says you must go home, they must go home, because if you don't, due process means nothing. And if the final judges of the decisions of the court aren't carried out, then what the hell are we doing? Shut down the immigration court. Those orders don't mean anything anymore. Take the border patrol. Take all you guys off the border, because no longer consequences. So at the heels of the biggest illegal immigration crisis we've ever seen in this nation, there has to be a massive deportation operation, because 9 out of 10 of these people, based on 10 years of data, they'll lose their case, get order removal. If we don't remove them,
shout out to you, Law. What's good with it, bro?
Doing? The whole world's going to know. Enter the country illegally, what's a crime, make a false claim to asylum, get order removed, but you still have to go home. We'll never fix that problem. And the most vulnerable people in the world will make the journey to America to take advantage of that broken system. And more aliens will die. More aliens have died under this administration than any time in history. More Americans have died from fentanyl than any time in history. 600% increase in sex trafficking, a record number of known suspected terrorists, a record number of people on terrorist watch lists, 2 million known gotaways, people who paid more to get away. They didn't want to be fingerprinted. They didn't want to be vetted. Who the hell are they? This is the biggest national security threat this nation faces. Even the FBI director agrees with me. President Trump is going to shut down the border. We're going to have a massive deportation operation, and we're going to try to find over 300,000 children that were released by this administration. I guarantee you, some are in forced labor, some are in the sex trade. We're going to save those children and get them back to their families. That's a commitment from me, President Trump, and Kristi Noem, and they all wish you happy Thanksgiving and want to give me their thanks. Look, everybody in this room, you're American patriot by the very fact you're standing in this room and doing God's work. Look, you're not just protecting Texas. You're protecting the entire country, because most people across that border aren't staying in Texas. To the troopers, every ounce of fentanyl you guys see, you're saving lives. To every person you rescue.
Real quick, shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all have not hit that like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys have not hit that bell, please take a moment, hit that bell. And also, please share the stream to your social media. We got 40 people watching. We got 45 likes. We 5 away from the 1-to-1 ratio. Throw some 100s in the chat. That's what's up. Y'all are doing a great job. I definitely appreciate it. Definitely appreciate it. Let's try to get the likes to 80.
Trespass. That's one less gotaway. At least we're fingerprinting. I mean, we know who this person is. So thank you, not only for serving Texas, but for serving the United States. I look forward to coming back and doing this job. It's the second time I came back from retirement. And I'll come back a third time, but you know what? I don't think I have to. I think we're going to finish the job this time and have the most secure border ever in this nation. So before I pass it, I want to pass it on to Mr. McGraw. I just want a show of love. Mr. McGraw's leaving you soon.
I gotta
He spent
agree.
decades doing this service. He is.
I gotta agree 100%. I gotta agree with Shatira. I think people are willing to take whatever potential issue the tariffs might cost. I think that people are willing to make that sacrifice in order to get this situation under control. You know what I'm saying? It seems that way. It seems that way. So what we're going to do real quick is briefly, we're going to take a look at the actual report, right? We're going to take a look at the actual report from U.S. Customs and Immigration, because, you know, it's unfortunate that in the environment today, you know, you can't trust the media. You can't trust the media, but it's all good though, because we can produce our own things, right? ERO Chicago arrests Venezuelan citizen with ties to Trinde Aragua criminal organization. So as you guys can see, this is literally directly from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. And right here, literally right on the website, March 25th of 2024, Chicago, Illinois enforcement and removal transnational gangs. Now, if you ask them to explain this, talk about this, right, on the mainstream media, they'll sit there and say that this is missing disinformation. But how is it missing disinformation when we got it right here from the government website? Enforcement and removal operations, Chicago, arrested Adelvis Rodriguez Carmona. We talked about him earlier. An unlawfully present citizen of Venezuela and member of the Tren de Aragua transnational criminal organization. All right. So again, this verifies it. For the most part, all of the rest of the information is the same as what we got out of the New York Post, right? But again, why does this have to be shown? This has to be shown because with the mainstream media environment today, they're literally saying that if you see it on social media, it's missing disinformation. Okay? They're calling it mis and disinformation, which is unfortunate. You can't trust the media these days. Shout out to DSB. Make sure y'all show DSB some love. DSB getting every single drop. So y'all gonna be here for a while. Make sure y'all show DSB some love. Again! And you know I need this because
I can't eat. I'm broke, nigga. I'm broke.
Push me, ain't Donald Trump trying to grab him by the... Said it was some Haitians somewhere out in Springfield. Women doing cartwheels. Have you seen Garfield? Have you seen Snowball? This about to snowball. I'm about to go off. I can't let this go on. Miss me like an airball. Tell me where my cat is, cough it up like a hairball. I gotta tell them if they even put the fingernail on Santa's little helper to turn them to hamburger helper. Somebody better help them, cause I'm going to jail for showing them fellas helter skelter. Usually I'm content, but if you touch my dog, then I'm turning into John Wick. I'm lit. Bird better drop it. If you touch my pet, then I'm pulling up like CrossFit. Overseas where they said Hello Kitty, but it ain't there, it's right here in your city. When I turn my back, now the cat goes missing and where my peoples is at. Does anybody know where he took with that? Cause I heard they putting claws on felines, I'm mad. And my cat disappeared just like Felix the cat. Got paid back. Thought she was a goner, but the cat came back. If you ain't a pussy cat, say drop that cat. Drop that cat. Drop that cat. Got paid back. Thought she was a goner, but the cat came back. If you ain't a pussy cat, say drop that cat. Drop that cat. Drop that cat.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat.
Drop that cat.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the March of Dimes.
Get the money, y'all. There's poor people around. I'm rich, bitch.
Cash rules everything around me. Queen, get the money. Dollar bill, yo.
Hey. Hold on real quick. Hey.
Silence. I ain't got no money, pop.
Ancient spirits of evil, transform this decayed form to Mum-Ra.
It's absolutely terrible. There's story after story. I remember 2 years ago, we found a baby there outside of Eagle Pass that was covered in ants. Thankfully, that small infant was able to survive. But there's story after story, literally every single week. And I'm glad that we have a new administration coming in. 2025 needs to be a new start. But this also isn't just going to go away overnight. It is literally going to take years for us to fix the damage that the Biden administration has caused. What we've done in the House as House Republicans on the Appropriations Committee is we have defunded the CBP One app. That CBP One app has failed Americans.
Oh,
and
it's
so
a disaster.
that needs to go away.
I want to talk about that. I don't understand who in the right mind thought that this would be a good idea. That recent report that we just mentioned from the DHS Inspector General finding that federal agencies didn't fully assess the risk of releasing non-citizens.
Why did they not look? Why did they not do that? Why did they not release the risk? Think about this. Somebody make this make sense. Why would you not do that? Somebody make this make sense. Why would you not assess the risk of quote unquote migrants being released into the community? Like why would you not do that?
Start, but this also isn't just going to go away overnight. It is literally going to take years for us to fix the bookends on the appropriations committee. Is we have defunded the CBP One app. That CBP One app has failed Americans.
Oh, it's
so
a disaster.
That needs to go away.
I want to talk about that. I don't understand who in the right mind thought that this would be a good idea. That recent report that we just mentioned from the DHS Inspector General finding that federal agencies didn't fully assess the risk of releasing non-citizens without identification into the U.S., essentially allowing them to travel anywhere they want in the United States without an ID. That report said that it may inadvertently increase national security risks. Oh, you think? I mean, they didn't fully assess the risks. What did they think was going to happen after they gave migrants the CBP One app or DHS issued immigration forms, which basically allows them to fly around for free around the country without having to show ID or passports? And not only that, they can connect to other flights. So there's no way you're going to track them. So you're essentially saying you get a free pass.
You're exactly right. And this is what the Biden administration has done, is they started by not being transparent and trying to sell one thing to the American people. And at the end of their administration, they were open about what they were trying to do. Essentially, the last chain in this smuggling episode was being paid by taxpayer dollars. You have people unvetted. They're going all over the country. They completely circumvented the system using the CBP One app. So once again, House Republicans, by using the power of the purse, we've zeroed that out in this year's appropriations. That's a start. We need to get that over the finish line. The other piece of it too is Mexico plays a part in this. And look, Mexico is Texas's #1 trading partner. We want to be partners. But for 4 years, the Biden administration has allowed Mexico to get away with murder, literally, by allowing fentanyl and all these criminal aliens into our country. That has to stop. And this is where I appreciate President Trump being firm with some of our neighbors and saying, hey, look, there's a new sheriff in town and there's going to be a different way of doing business. It's a long time Americans get put first in this equation.
Yeah, well, that's where Trump's tariffs on Mexico are going to come into play. And that's why the Mexican president all of a sudden is starting to play ball, because she knows that this president is going to mean business when it comes to stopping the illegal flow of migrants into this country. I want you to listen to this. You know, Texas Governor Greg Abbott, as you know, notching a legal win in his fight to use razor wire along his state's border in order to deter illegal migrants. There's a federal appeals court which blocked Biden officials from removing the razor wire set up in Eagle Pass. It ruled that it was wrong for them to cut the wire back in December of last year. Incoming border czar Tom Homan telling the New York Post, and I quote, "We're going to help them finish this job and secure Texas, and we're going to work in partnership." And Abbott doesn't have to worry about this administration suing him to secure his state's border. So finally, the governor has some power back in his hands. This is something that he's been trying to get the Biden administration to do, to cooperate with them. But instead, they've bussed these migrants into Democratic cities to try to sort of show the administration who's boss, but really who's suffered mostly are the taxpayers that are now footing the bill. So what do you think? What do you think of this?
Yeah, Julie, for 4 years, Texans have had to go it alone. Not only go it alone, we've had to fight the federal government to basically keep us safe. And that's coming to an end. You know, you look at essentially what the governor is trying to do is just keep Texans safe. And you know, last Christmas, I was there in Eagle Pass. It was literally the worst I've seen it. Tens of thousands of people coming over daily. And the only thing that was stopping them was our Texas DPS doing its job to keep us safe. And what I said then rings true today. What about us? What about our lives? What about our safety? What about as American citizens? What about us? This is where the Biden administration has failed us all and has put other people ahead of us. What you're going to see is a big shift in 2025. And that starts with securing our border. If somebody comes over illegally and they do not qualify for asylum, they need to immediately get sent back to their country of origin, not bused, not flown throughout the country, making Americans' lives less safe. Once again, what about us? I think that's coming in 2025.
Yeah, well, that was what Title 42 was supposed to do, but then the Biden administration upended that. There's also the humanitarian crisis to keep in mind, the 300,000 children that have crossed over our borders under this administration, and they don't know where their parents are. They don't have, listening to 10-year-olds sit there at the border with a cell phone crying, having no idea where this family is. I have a 12-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 14-year-old. I cannot even imagine. It is heartbreaking to watch as a parent. It's just awful.
A generation of kids have been lost, regardless of their legal status. A generation of children have been lost because of the Biden administration.
It's horrifying. Congressman Gonzalez, great to see you. Thank you very much for your insight. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
All right, so there's that. All right, so now let me ask you guys this question: how many people have heard about some of these, some of this technology that's going to be used at the border? Now, let me ask you guys this question: do you think that any Elon Musk associated technology might be used at the border? Is there going to be a little bit of a quote unquote value chain? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man KO Kid Fit. What's good with it, bro? Yeah, it's extremely it's extremely irritating. If you guys agree with KO Kid Fit, throw some angry faces in the chat. Yeah, I gotta agree with Shatira, of course. Of course. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Who thinks that the companies who get the contracts to work directly with the border situation might be companies worth looking into as far as quote unquote investment opportunities? If you guys think so, then give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't think so, then give me a thumbs down. All right. So now here it says surveillance tech advances by Biden could aid in Trump's promised crackdown on immigration. Isn't that interesting? That's pretty interesting, isn't it? President-elect Donald Trump will return to power next year with a raft of technological tools at his disposal that would help deliver his campaign promise of cracking down on immigration. Among them, surveillance and artificial intelligence technology that the Biden administration already uses to help make crucial decisions in tracking, detaining, and ultimately deporting immigrants lacking permanent legal status. Now, here's my question. How many people knew that this type of technology was being used to quote unquote deal with the migrant crisis? If you guys were aware of that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys were not aware of that, then give me a thumbs down. All right. While immigration officials have used the tech for years, an October letter from the Department of Homeland Security obtained exclusively by the Associated Press details how these tools, some of them powered by AI, help make decisions over whether an immigrant should be detained or surveilled. Now, I hate to say this, right? I hate to say this, but I don't think that AI is really necessary for that. I think that AI could actually be put to work, you know, being used to make harder decisions for more challenging things. I don't think that AI is necessary for such easy decisions as quote unquote who should be, you know, who should be deported versus quote unquote who should not. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to my man DSB. Make sure y'all show DSB some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, some ducks, some cats and dogs in the chat. DSB just bought, you know, he just bought some seconds on lunch, right? DSB says it's been all about them for 400 years, talking about what we talk about you. Yeah. And this is one of the things, if you ask me, this is what I be talking about. We gotta we gotta be the ones on the offensive. If you guys agree with DSB, hold on, my bad. If you guys agree with DSB, y'all already know what to do. And make sure you get your forks, your knives, your plates. Let's go.
In Springfield, there
is where they said Hello Kitty, but it ain't there. It's right here in your city. When I turn my back, now the cat goes missing in the where my peoples is at. Does anybody know where he clipping at? Cause I heard they putting claws on felines, I'm mad. And my cat disappeared just like Felix the cat. And got paid back. Thought she was a goner, but the cat came back. If you ain't a pussy cat, say drop that cat. Drop that cat. Drop that cat. Got paid back. Thought she was a goner, but the cat came back. If you ain't a pussy cat, say drop that cat. Drop that cat. Drop that cat.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat.
Drop that cat.
Definitely appreciate it, bro. Make sure y'all show DSB some love. DSB killing it. Definitely appreciate it, bro. So now here says one algorithm, for example, ranks immigrants with a quote unquote hurricane score ranging from 1 to 5 to assess whether someone will quote unquote abscond from the agency's supervision. Now, let me ask you guys this question. If we took a look at all of this AI, artificial intelligence, decision-making technology that they have, that they've quote unquote allegedly been using to make some of these decisions, what kind of scores do you all think that we're going to see? And here's an even better question. Do you think that they've been paying attention to the AI, or has the AI been being ignored? Let me know what you guys think. If you guys think that they've been paying attention to the AI, then give me a thumbs up. If you guys think that the AI has probably been being ignored, then give me a thumbs down. And also, again, we need to take a look at these companies and track these companies so we can get in on some of this money. You know what I'm saying? The letter sent by DHS Chief Artificial Intelligence Officer Eric Heisen to the immigrant rights group Just Futures Law revealed that the score calculates the potential risk that an immigrant with a pending case will fail to check in with immigration and customs enforcement officers. The algorithm relies on several factors, he said, including an immigrant's numbers of violations and the length of time in the program, and whether the person has a travel document. Heisen wrote that ICE officers consider the score, among other information, when making decisions about an immigrant's case. Now, let me ask you guys this question. How accurate do you think that this is? How accurate do you guys think that this is? Do you guys think that this AI system that they have actually offers good, reliable information? Or do you all think that it doesn't? Now, I'm going to give you my honest opinion. I think that this probably offers some really high quality information. I think that it just gets ignored. Or what they do is they don't ignore it, but what they'll do is they'll take the score and say, well, you know, the AI information isn't as high priority as quote unquote, you know, whatever else. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says the hurricane score does not make decisions on detention, deportation, or surveillance. Instead, it is used to inform human decisions. A mobile app called SmartLink that uses facial matching and can track an immigrant's specific location. Okay, so we have to ask now, if they have an app like this that can use facial recognition to track these illegal migrants, how are these people getting all over the country and nobody knows how they're getting where? How is this happening? If they have tools like this, they have advanced tools like this. How is this happening? You know what I'm saying? Are enrolled in the Alternatives to Detention program, under which certain immigrants can live in the United States while their immigration cases are pending. They have all of these different programs. There's not even a need to come into the country illegally. Yeah, shout out to KO Kid Fit. KO Kid Fit said Biden and them letting them run loose. Facts. They just letting them run loose. They running all up in they running all up and through that border down there. You know what I'm saying? They running all up and through that. Oh man, they running all up and through that border, man. That don't make no doggone sense. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says, in exchange, SmartLink and GPS trackers used by ICE rigorously surveil them and their movements. The phone application draws on facial matching technology and geolocation data, which has been used before to find and arrest those using the app. So again, look at all these capabilities that they have that they just choose to not use. They just choose to not use the capabilities that they have, y'all. They got all this stuff, and they not doing nothing with it. And like my man KO Kid Fit said, Biden and them letting them run loose. Shout out to my man DSB. My man DSB letting that wallet run loose. I definitely appreciate it, bro. Make sure y'all show DSB some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for DSB for really funding the organization. Definitely appreciate you, bro. DSB says, I believe you about AI. I'm sure the humans override the system. I would not be surprised, bro. Or either what they did is they'll say like the AI score is not that important of a factor. Like they'll downgrade how important the score is. But I guarantee you the score in most cases, when they put those factors in, the AI will be like, don't let this person through. You know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all show DSB some love. We about to eat good. We about to eat good, quote unquote, under Trump.
In Springfield,
there is where they said Hello Kitty, but it ain't there. It's right here in your city. When I turn my back, now the cat goes missing in the where my peoples is at. Does anybody know where he took when that? Cause I heard they putting claws on felines. I'm mad. And my cat disappeared just like Felix the cat. And then the cat got paid back. Thought she was a goner, but the cat came back. If you ain't a pussy cat, say drop that cat. Drop that cat. Drop that cat. Got paid back. Thought she was a goner, but the cat came back. If you ain't a pussy cat, say drop that cat. Drop that cat. Drop that cat.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat.
Drop that cat.
Definitely appreciate you, bro. Make sure y'all show DSB some love. Definitely appreciate it. Caldona said if there was a Blacklight Revelations themed amusement park, that place would be lit. Bro, I'm trying to tell you. Bro, listen, if I'm ever able to do the kind of stuff that I want to do, like with YouTube and like making content and stuff, y'all see, it's going to be stuff that y'all ain't never even seen before. Y'all going to be addicted to it. Like, what? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Yeah, that's facts. Yeah, you definitely had a good point with that, Brooklyn Queen. And, you know what I'm saying, hit the nail right on the head. You know what I'm saying? Hit the nail right on the head. You know what I'm saying? And what's crazy, again, is that they got all of this, and you got to ask yourself the question, well, what do they do with the information once they run it? What do they do with the information once they run it? You know what I'm saying? So now here it says, Just Future Law wrote to Heisen earlier this year, questioning the fairness of using an algorithm to assess whether someone is a flight risk and raising concerns over how much data SmartLink collects. Now, again, what do you guys think about these critiques? Such AI systems, which score or screen people, are widely used but remain largely unregulated, even though some have been found to discriminate on race, gender, or other protected traits. DHS said in an email that it is committed to ensuring that its use of AI is transparent and safeguards privacy and civil rights while avoiding biases. The agency said it is working to implement the Biden administration's requirements on using AI. But Heisen said in this letter that security officials may waive those requirements for certain uses. Trump has publicly vowed to repeal Biden's AI policy when he returns to the White House in January. Now, let me ask you guys this question. If Trump is going to appeal Biden's AI policy, my question for you all is, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does a Trump AI policy look like? And see, shout out to DS. Make sure y'all show DSB some love. Again, DSB killing it. You know what I'm saying? But DSB got a great point in his comment. DSB said, I've also been testing AI, and it does lie just like its creators. But you do get more accurate info from AI than you get from humans. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. If you guys agree with DSB, give me some thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me some thumbs down. And time to eat again. Y'all know what to do. Let's go.
In Springfield, they're eating.
Push me, ain't Donald Trump trying to grab him by the. Said it was some Haitians somewhere out in Springfield. Women doing cartwheels. Have you seen Garfield?
Eat the cat.
Have you seen Snowball? This about to snowball. I'm about to go off. I can't let this go on. Miss me like an airball. Tell me when my cat is cough it up like a hairball.
Eat the cat.
I gotta tell them if they even put a fingernail on Santa's little helper to turn them to hamburger helper. Somebody better help them, cause I'm going to jail for showing them fellas helter skelter. Usually I'm content, but if you touch my dog, then I'm turning into John Wick. I'm lit. Bird better drop it. If you touch my pet, then I'm pulling up like CrossFit. Gone overseas where they said Hello Kitty, but it ain't there, it's right here in your city. When I turn my back, now the cat goes missing and where my peoples is at. Does anybody know where he flipping at? Cause I heard they putting claws on felines, I'm mad. And my cat disappeared just like Felix the cat. And got paid back. Thought she was a goner, but the cat came back. If you ain't a pussy cat, say drop that cat. Drop that cat. Drop that cat. Got paid back. Thought she was a goner, but the cat came back. If you ain't a pussy cat, say drop that cat. Drop that cat.
They didn't even talk about this. Let me ask you guys this question. When it comes to this quote unquote technological look at the migrant crisis to see like the technologies being used, did anybody hear anything about this? Was there any report? Did anybody, MSNBC, CBS, MSN, ABC, CBS, did any of those people ever talk about this stuff in this length of detail? Even Fox didn't talk about this. Nobody really talked about these technologies being used. They talked about the CBP1 app, right? But they didn't talk about all of the AI and all of that being used. Why do you guys think that they didn't talk about this? So now here it says DHS uses AI to assist our personnel in their work, but DHS does not use the outputs of AI systems as the sole basis for any law enforcement action or denial of benefits. A spokesperson for DHS told the AP. Trump has not revealed how he plans to carry out his promised deportation of an estimated 11 million people living in the country illegally. Now, I don't think that this is a true statement. I think that the plans have been laid out. I think that if you watch the most recent live streams on this channel, I think that the information that we got from the sources that I used, I think that it paints a pretty clear picture. And yeah, we talked about it on BLR1. Definitely appreciate you, DSB. Make sure y'all show DSB some love. Definitely appreciate you, bro. And shout out to Cameron Jones. Yeah, shout out to Cameron Jones. They have been. You guys saw the videos that we did on BLR1 and some of the other channels where we were talking about ShotSpotter. This is no different than the ShotSpotter technology for the most part. GPS triangulation AI systems, facial recognition and stuff like that. Up in New York City. As a matter of fact, we got some stuff to talk about up in New York City with some police technology that they plan on putting in up there. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says, although he has proposed invoking wartime powers as well as military involvement, the plan would face major logistical challenges, such as where to keep those who have been detained and how to find people spread across the country that AI power surveillance tools could potentially address. Caroline Leavitt, a spokesperson for Trump, did not answer questions about how the incoming administration's plan to use the DHS's tech, but said in a statement that President Trump will marshal every federal and state power necessary to institute the largest quote-unquote deportation operation in American history. Over 100 civil society groups sent a letter on Friday urging the Office of Management and Budget to require DHS to comply with the Biden administration's guidelines. A spokesperson for OMB said that agencies must align their AI tools with the guidelines by December 1st, and that any extensions or waivers of that deadline will be publicly disclosed next month. Just Futures Law Executive Director Paramita Shah said if immigrants are scored as flight risks, they are more likely to remain in detention, limiting their ability to prepare a defense in their case in immigration court, which is already difficult enough as it is. Well, what about the difficulties that a lot of these people see? Interestingly, that's not addressed. That's not addressed. You know what I'm saying? SmartLink, part of the Intensive Supervision Appearance Program, is run by BI Incorporated, a subsidiary of the private prison company, the GEO Group. The GEO Group also contracts with ICE to run detention centers. How many people knew about this? Look at this value chain right here. We got to research this. Look at this. This is like the prison industrial complex right here. People are out here making money. This is a very, very interesting value chain, isn't it? If you guys would agree, this is a very, very interesting value chain. Give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, then give me a thumbs down. This is a very, very interesting value chain out here. ICE is tight-lipped about how it uses SmartLink's location feature to find and arrest immigrants. Still, public records show that during Trump's first term in 2018, Manassas, Virginia-based employees of BI Incorporated relayed immigrants' GPS locations to federal authorities, who then arrested over 40 people. In a report last year to address privacy issues and concerns, DHS said that the mobile app includes security features that prohibit access to information on the participant's mobile device, with the exception of location data points when the app is open. But the report notes that there remains a risk that data collected from people may be misused for unauthorized persistent monitoring. Okay. Now, here goes the thing. Let me ask you guys this question. If it's not a U.S. citizen being monitored like that, then who cares? I don't really see a problem with monitoring people that aren't supposed to be in the country like that. Now, you know, again, like I said, I would have an issue with that if it was monitoring U.S. citizens, right? Highly unconstitutional. But if that's monitoring people that are not supposed to be in the country, well, then who cares? The people that aren't supposed to be in the country need to be monitored to make sure that they don't get in. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Such information could also be stored in other ICE and DHS databases and used for other DHS mission purposes, the report said. One investor calls earlier this month, private prison companies were clear-eyed about the opportunities ahead. So, again, look at this, the value chain. How many people want to invest in some private prison companies and get paid? Shout out to Black Free Thinker. Black Free Thinker said, I guess that giving them free smartphones wasn't the worst idea. Right. Right. Just like, never mind. The GEO Group's executive chairman, George Christopher Zoli, said that he expects the incoming Trump administration to take a much more aggressive approach regarding border security, as well as interior enforcement, to request additional funding from Congress to achieve those goals. In GEO's ISAP program, we can scale up from the present 182,500 participants to several hundreds of thousands or even millions of participants, Zoli said. That same day, the head of another private prison company told investors he would be watching closely to see how the new administration may change immigrant monitoring programs. It's an opportunity for multiple vendors to engage ICE about the program going forward and think about creative and innovative solutions not only get better outcomes, but also scale up the program as necessary. Damian Henninger, CEO of the private prison company Core Civic Incorporation, said on an earnings call. Now, let me ask you guys this question. How many of you all have heard of these private prison companies before? Are any of these private prison companies striking you as familiar names? If you all have heard of these private prison companies, then give me a thumbs up. If you guys have not heard of these private prison companies, if these are completely new to you, or you didn't know that there was that many, then let me know. I've never heard of any of these. This is all news to me. GEO did not respond to requests for a comment. In a statement, Core Civic said that it has played a valued but limited role in America's immigration system for both Democrats and Republicans for over 40 years. Now, that's interesting. It's amazing how one company can do something for both sides that are allegedly in opposition of each other. Isn't it? Isn't that interesting? That's pretty interesting, right? How does that work exactly? You know what I'm saying? How does that work exactly? I guess you just have to watch more episodes of Undocumented in the future to find out. All right. So don't move a muscle. All right. This stream will take you into the next one, which will be on BLR1 tonight. It's going to be a good one. So make sure you go over there. Make sure you hit the like button when this stream takes you over there. Make sure you share it. All right. You know what time? 12:55. 12:55. Got some videos and some more content coming throughout the day. So make sure you subbed up to all the channels. Shout out to everybody for all the support. Shout out to DSB for killing it out here. All right. Make sure you guys show the stream sponsor some love. We had 10. Shout out to Katsy. Definitely appreciate you. Shout out to DSB. DSB about to get a lot of agains. Shout out to Alonzo. Definitely appreciate you. Shout out to DSB. Gotta hit him with the again. Again! Shout out to DSB. 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 Again! Definitely appreciate it. Join the Discord. Hit the like button. Follow me on Rumble. Make sure that you guys take advantage of the 50% off on Patreon with code BLR. And as always, ladies and gentlemen,